Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I welcome all of you to this another episode of Fond Memories of Srila Gurudev, Sri Gurudev ki Madhur Smritiyan. Today we'll start this program with Jai Dhwani, Jai Shri Guru Gaurang Gandharvika Girdhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ji ki Jai, Shri Radha Ramana Ji ki Jai, Nitya Leela Pravishtom Vishnu Padastu Tasa Srimad Bhakti Vedan Shri Narayana Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. नित्य लीला प्रविष्टोम विष्णु पादष्टो तथा श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत श्री वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। रूपानुग गुरु वर्ग की जय। वृंदावन नवदीप धाम की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। Today we are very fortunate to have with us Sripad Lilasukh Prabhu from Australia. And he is with his family, wife and small little baby. We are going to hear first Kirtan from them, and then I will give a small introduction for all of them. And then we'll hear their sweet memories with Srila Gurudev, also with other Mahajans like Pujapad, Bhakti, Rakshak, Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, and other Mahajans which he has met. So let's start with the Kirtan first. Dandat Pranam Prabhu Ji, Dandat Pranam Mataji, Didi, everybody. Welcome to the program. Yes, and there will be translation on Hindi also available on Facebook page, Srila Gurudev Memories. So those of you who want to hear in Hindi, they can go to that Facebook page. I will share the link in a short while. We can start, Prabhuji. Let's start with the Kirtan.
Start with Sri Krishna. Chaitanya.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sripasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Sri Krishna
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sripasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai
Krishna
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sripasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Shri Radhe,
Jaya
Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Krishna.
So nice. That was so nice. Thank you so much for the lovely Kirtan and remembering Lord's name. So today we are very fortunate to have among us Sripad Lilasukh Prabhu, who is from Tasmania, Australia. He joined from there, and he is a very, very senior disciple. He is a disciple of Srila Pujapad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ji. So he first time met devotees in 1977, which changed his life totally. And he received Harinam and Diksha in early 80s. And his wife Jayshri Didi is a disciple of Srila Gurudev, and their children Gopal and Damyanti, they also into bhakti. They got this bhakti from the parents, and Prabhu Ji is doing a lot of services, which includes book distribution around the globe, and they're all together serving Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. So today we are going to hear from them about their beautiful services and also how they came to this path of bhakti, what brought them here, what was the desire, which devotee they met at first, and then how did he go to Pujapa Sridhar Dev, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. He is also very, very renowned disciple of Prabhupada. And our Param Gurudev, Nitlila Pravishtom Vishnupada Stotra Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj has taken sannyas from Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupada Stotra Srimad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And he was a big philosopher and a poet, very well known in the Gaudiya world. So we will be very fortunate today to hear about his Gurudev also, and also about our Srila Gurudev Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So we are very fortunate. Thank you, Prabhu Ji, for being here with us. And let's start with your sweet, sweet memories. Thank you so much. You can start.
Omagana Tamandasya Ganagana Salakaya Chaksurmaziktamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. By the sweet mercy of the pure Vaishnavas, the ignorance of this world is removed, and we get some glimpse of the true spiritual nature of this world, of the eternal world. And I first met the devotees when I moved to Australia in 1977 in Adelaide. And after some time with them, I understood something of the importance of finding a guru, even though I was young at the time and not so knowledgeable. So I went to India looking for a guru, someone that I could surrender to, and I had faith in. And it was I wound up with the great institution of ISKCON in Mayapur for the Gorpanim festival, which was the year before Mahaprabhu's golden anniversary. It was just the year before that in Mayapur. And one Prabhupada disciple had given me shelter, and I was staying in his room in Mayapur. And there were many Prabhupada disciples in there discussing. And they were discussing that next year for the golden anniversary, they were going to be magnanimous and allow all the devotees that had gone across the river to come back. And I was a new devotee. I didn't know what they were talking about. But Raji Shikari, the one that had taken me under his shelter, he said, "Look, what are you talking about? They don't want to come back. None of them ever come back." And I was very curious. What is this? What is this? Devotees going across the river, not coming back. So then, hey, I said, all right. I went down to the Ganga, and I also went across the river. And I said, where are they going to? Why are they not coming back? And I went to Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and there I heard Srila Maharaj speaking. And I said, so this is why they're not coming back. The words of a pure devotee are just so captivating. He was so sweet, and on all the things he said, that it captivated your heart with his just from his Harikatha. He would in India, when you travel and you meet many different sadhus, a lot of them will say that my English is lame, and most of them are telling the truth. Their English. Some of them like Srila Narayan Maharaj would say that, but he was just being humble. His English was good, but Srila Maharaj never spoke like that. his English was, he didn't serve the English language, the language served him. He would change words in the language to bring out certain meanings for his English audience. I was one time we were listening to Harikatha, and he spoke something I'd heard many times before, but he changed it. He said a bad workman quarrels with his stools, and I'm thinking, Guru Maharaj said, I'm thinking that isn't right. You've missed. But I was just quiet and I listened.
Prabhuji, can you say that again? What he said? The bad?
A bad workman quarrels with his stools.
Oh, bad workman quarrels with his stool.
But and the English term is a bad workman quarrels with his tools.
Oh, tools. Okay. Got it.
And that's the English saying that everybody knows.
Yes.
But Sridhar Maharaj changed it to a bad workman quarrels with his stools.
Oh, okay.
Thinking, he's made some mistake, but I quietly listened and said, no, he's changed it for a meaning. He goes on to explain in the Harikatha that if we take Pashadam, then the stools must come. Why should we quarrel with them? We have earned the environment that we have. Don't quarrel with it. If we have a bad environment, that is because that is what we have earned. And he went on to explain that verse, Tate nukampam susmix mano, banjana evatma kritava bakam, or advag vapabir vididan namaste, jivetio mukti pade sadayabak. Whenever the world is coming against one with his heart, with his mind, and with his body, he worships the Lord, knowing that whatever bad things are happening to me is just a small token of what I deserve. And one who proceeds in his life and with his bhajan, with that attitude, then he will, then his rightful inheritance will be serviced at the lotus feet of the Lord. And it's such a nice explanation of that verse, with this one just changing one word in English in an English sentence that we all knew. And he went on to explain this before. Srila Narayana Raj later, he explained to me that verse, all of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas should have that verse engraved in.
Prabhu Ji, I want to ask you, did you ever see Srila Prabhupada? Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj?
No, I started associating with the devotees in 77, the year that Prabhupada left.
Oh, same year. Okay. And how many years did you associate with Pujapad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj? How many years?
Oh, only unfortunately my time with him was limited. Only a few years before he also left.
Oh. And then you came to Bhakti Narayana Maharaj after that?
Not directly. After Sridhar Maharaj left, I was very disappointed. Where do I find another pure Vaishnava? And I was advised to go to Gaur Govinda Maharaj by some devotees, but I thought, that Gaur Govinda Maharaj was in ISKCON, and ISKCON had treated Sridhar Maharaj so badly, there couldn't be a pure devotee there. So I stayed away for some years. And then devotees kept telling me, go to Gaur Govinda Maharaj, go to Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And he came to Australia once. And I went to see Gaur Govinda Maharaj, and they organized a meeting for me in a room at his room in Moolumbar, and at the farm that the ISKCON has there. And I went up to his room to meet him, and he looked at me the very first meeting, and he said, Baba, how long are you going to sleep in the lap of Maya? And he just, because and I was thinking, fie on me, here's another pure devotee. And I'm thinking he can't come in ISKCON. But I should know, pure devotees can come anywhere. They can come in or out of an institution. They even get kicked out of an institution. I was, and I listened to Gaur Govinda Maharaj's Harikatha, and it was different from Sridhar Maharaj, and he was powerful and bold, and just driving the Harikatha into your heart. Whereas Sridhar Maharaj was very subtle and very sweet. He just captured with his sweetness. Where Gaur Govinda Maharaj just overpowered you with the strength of his katha, but it had the same result that captured your heart. But then again, only a few short years after I started taking Shiksha from Guru Govind Maharaj, he also left. And I thought, oh, fie on me. So many years I was without proper association when it was there. I just didn't understand that pure devotees can come, and that Krishna doesn't follow a straight path. The pure devotees can appear in this institution, they can appear in that different institution. It's not an institutional thing about where pure devotees come. And so I then shortly after Guru Govind Maharaj left, I was told that Srila Narayan Maharaj was coming to Australia also. And I thought, oh, and I heard that he wasn't allowed to speak at ISKCON. I thought, oh, well, that's a good sign. So I'm not going to miss out on this. If it's a real thing, I'm going to go find out. So as soon as he arrived in the country, I met with him and started listening to Kirtan and said, oh, cha, okay, here, another pure devotee. I'm so fortunate. I haven't wasted more years of my life looking for another one. And as soon as I met Srila Maharaj, I started wondering, how can I stay with him? How can I stay with him forever? And he was, after the program in Australia, he was going to, that was the end of his world tour for that year. And then he was starting the new world tour in Badger. So I organized, all right, I'm going to America, and I joined him there. And then I started following him wherever I could. One of the first, on the very first tour in Badger, I met Prem Prayojan, who was we became good friends and associates. And he had the service of doing the books there. He was at the book table. And the Srila Maharaj had spoken that night some Harikatha from the 11th Katha, or from the 11th canto. And in that Katha, I heard that I'd only heard the one line, that Bhakti comes from Bhakti. Bhakti is in Jayshri Bhakti. Bhakti only comes from Bhakti. And I said, okay, I wanted to look up where that verse is. And this was before the times of the Veda base. You had to go get the book and look it up, but it was only I only know the third verse, and you couldn't look it up from the third verse. You had to know like the first verse in order to look it up. So I went and asked many devotees there. Urakram was there, and he looked and he couldn't find it. And Govind Acharya Maharaj, he's Acharya Maharaj now, he was there, and they couldn't find it. And finally, Govinda Bhakta, who's now taken sannyas as Acharya Maharaj, he told me, Prem Brojan's there, he'll know. And he was, his tent, because we were camping out at Badger, and his tent was there. So I waited for his tent. And I thought, oh, well, he really know? All these other devotees don't know, but okay, I'll wait. And he came out from the shower and wrapped in a gumsha there. I said, look, Gurudev spoke a verse last night. He only spoke part of it. Bhakti Sanjati Bhaktya, which means Bhakti comes Bhakti. Where's the verse from and what it is? And Prem Prayojan, he took my notebook in his gumsha there in the outside in Badger, and he just wrote the whole verse out for me. Prasprana Katanam Pavanam Bhagavajasya Matoratir Matastistir Navita Matmana Smaranya Tascha Matoka Gahramarim Bhaktya Sanjati Bhaktya Ribat Vilakamtanu. He wrote it out. He corrected all the diacritics, and he gave me a short purport on what the verse meant. And I said, oh, okay, all right. If people like this are following Srila Narayan Maharaj, I'm going everywhere with it. So I asked, oh, how can I stay in your traveling party? And he said, oh, look, if you want to take over this book, over the book table for me, you look after the book so I can spend more time preaching. So he gave me that service. And then with that service, I was able to travel all around the world with Srila Narayan Maharaj for the next 10 years.
Oh.
And I've got this is, I'll speak some, I spoke this for when the English devotees asked a few months ago, because I'd had so much association with Sridhar Maharaj over those 10 years. I'd seen him in so many different moods, like, and according to his different moods, because like when Krishna entered the arena of in Mathura to fight with Charn and Mustika and kill Kamsa, everybody there saw him in so many different moods according to their moods, because he was the embodiment of all the rasas, all the 5 primary rasas and all the 7 secondary rasas. Like the Mathura Ramanis saw him with the Sangara Ras. They saw, oh, look at how beautiful he is. The gopis are so much more fortunate. They see him in his Vrindavan form. We see him here with an elephant tusk and little specks of blood over him, getting ready to wrestle. And the older ladies in Mathura, they saw him with Vatsalya. Bob, these poor little boys are going to have to fight with these great big Charn Muska, these great big wrestlers. They wanted to protect him. And Kamsa, he was a bit like me. He saw him with fear, because he's going to remove my material conception of life. And the cowherd boys, they were Sakyarats. All right, he's our mate. He's going to win the wrestling. Bring it on. And also they're the embodiment of all the 7 secondary rasas, Hasa, Bhuta, Vira, Karuna, Rudra, Vibhats, and Bhai. I'll take some time and I'll explain how particular pastimes I've had with Gurudev, where he's manifest all those different bhavs. Hasa, the laughter, this secondary rasa of laughter. When on the tours, Gurudev, he'd get Lalit Mohan and me to put on this Gita Samskar play, where the guru is giving his disciple a Bhagavad Gita and he tells him to go away and study it. But the disciple, the mouse chews up his Bhagavad Gita, and it's hard to read the pages. So the neighbor, and I was always playing the part of the neighbor who was giving the good advice, which was actually bad advice. And Lalit Mohan was the brahmachari, and I'd advise him, oh, you need to get a cat to get rid of the mouse. So he gets a cat, and then I come back, and then he comes back to me for more advice, because the cat's about to starve to death. There was only one mouse, and he's eaten it already. And I said, oh, look, you got to get a cow to feed the cat. So he gets a cow to feed the cat and some milk, and then he doesn't have time to study his Bhagavad Gita, because he's got to milk the cow and look after the cow. And so you have to get a wife, and that's to milk the cow. So he gets a wife to milk the cow, and then the wife's not happy. She's always nagging him and said, oh, the wife's not. So he comes to advice and tell him, oh, the wife's not happy because she needs to have children. Wives are only happy when they have children. So then he gets some children, and we put this skit on in France. And Lalit Mohan, he'd organized in France with some Jamba Jivan's wife, who had a lot of experience at arguing with her husband, and there were lots and lots of children. I mean, over the top. There must have been 50 children, and the whole play just went over the top, and it was with more than 50 children coming out as the babies, and the wife was really nagging him, and it was all in French, and it just showed what material world leads to when you get entangled, but just so much over the top. And Gurudev was just rolling in his Vyasasana in laughter. And so that was my best experience from with Hasa Ras. A boot, astonishment. In Mawulambar, Gurudev we had a program, and I had a bull in a cart that I'd come into, that I traveled around with a little bit, which is unusual in the West.
Sorry, say again. You had a bull cart.
I had a bullock in a cart
in Australia.
in Australia, and I would travel around with it, which was unusual in Australia.
Wow, that I thought
In
this is only
India,
in India.
yeah, yeah. But in Australia, it's astonishing for anybody to see that.
Yes.
And I had my bull and cart there at the program in the town where we were having the, and I had the cart set up so that I could camp out in it. And one day in the program where Gurudev's house he was staying in was about 3 or 4 blocks away from the hall where he was speaking. And one day he called me in and he said, Lilasukh, bring me my bull and cart. He wanted me to take him to the program in the bull in the cart. So I said, oh great. I got the bull in the cart ready. And I came and took him, and Madhav Maharaj and me and myself were sitting in the bull in the cart. And the bull was going down that 4 blocks. And all the devotees were following, doing kirtan. And all of the people were coming out. It was a residential neighborhood. So all the people were coming out of their houses. Look with this look of astonishment. What's going on? They'd hear the kirtan and they'd see the bull in the cart going down the street. They were just all really astonished. And I look up and I see Gurudev. And Gurudev's got a look of astonishment in his face. And he looks at me and he says, this is preaching. It was preaching in an abut mood, in the mood of astonishment. Hasa Bhuta, we'll go the third one, Hasa Bhuta, Vera, the chivalry mood. It was one of the early programs in Gurudev's world tours. We went to Costa Rica. Ramesh had invited us to go to Costa Rica. So after the programs had finished in California and Badger and Los Angeles, we all got on, about 30 devotees and Gurudev got on a plane. We went to Houston for a few days, and then from Houston we went to Costa Rica. When we got into Costa Rica, Gurudev and his entourage of 30 or more devotees get off the plane, and there's an ISKCON sannyasi that also getting off in the airport, and he's got one brahmachari with him. And Gurudev and they cross paths, and Gurudev gives him some dandavats and some pleasantries to each other. And then after they've crossed paths and we sit down, Gurudev's sitting there with all of us, and he looks at all of us and he says, how many are traveling with him? And how many are traveling with me? And we'd say, okay. This is Gurudev. Gurudev can be like chivalrous as well, and not a common thing, but we caught it that one time. And the Hasa Bhuta Vera Corona, mercy. The mercy from Gurudev is so many examples of Gurudev's mercy. He let me listen to the diksha mantra 3 times. I've heard Gurudev recite the diksha mantra and explain it, because you just mercifully let me in. And I remember my wife wanted to take diksha from him, and she just, Gurudev, be merciful to me. So he gave her the diksha mantra. His mercy was just unbound. Had just so many examples of mercy. Everybody that's met him can give an example of his mercy. Hasa Bhuta Vera Kruna, Rudra, anger. An example of Gurudev being angry. There's a few of these, but the one that I can remember the best, is engraved in my heart, is when he became angry with me. We were, it was at the Lachua festival, and we were staying in devotees' houses some distance from the festival. I was about 10 minutes drive away from the festival. And for the morning walks, everybody got there. If you got there in the morning walks before Gurudev started walking, you could touch Gurudev's lotus feet. And that was really nice. It was really sweet. Gurudev would let people touch his feet in the morning before he started his walk. And but in the house I was staying in, we were dependent upon the householder to drive us there. And she was late. She got us there late, and Gurudev had already started his walk, and he was speaking some Harikatha. But my desire, I had that desire in me to touch Gurudev's lotus feet. And as while he was speaking, there's an opening. I will just sneak in there and touch his feet. Gurudev felt it, and he's, hey, he's touching my feet. And I immediately, I shouldn't have done that. I should have known better. And Gurudev, he found out who it was, and then he saw, oh, this is somebody that should know better. And this is somebody that's not going to leave just because I become angry and blasted. And he just blasted me in front of everybody so severely. You should know that the what emanates from the lotus mouth of the guru is more important than the dust from his lotus feet. I should have been listening to him instead of trying to touch his lotus feet. And so he made an example out of me for everybody there that nobody's going to forget. And when the guru becomes angry with you, you don't forget it ever again. And okay, what the fear by. Not only once did I saw Gurudev being fearful, and this was in it was in Jagannath Puri. We were doing parakram for Krishna's month, and a very nice brahmachari, Gaura Sundar, who was traveling on the world tours with a great kirtaneer, a great devotee, but he wasn't careful enough when he was swimming. He was one from Hawaii and was used to just diving into water, not knowing what was in it, and he dove towards the sea at Jagannath Puri. And at Jagannath Puri, most people have been swimming there know there's sandbars and they move around. And he dove headfirst, even though he was diving out into what should have been deeper water, it was actually more shallow. And he dove headfirst into a sandbar and broke his neck. And he was on parakram on the beach. Just so we'd finished parakram and the devotees were bathing on the beach. The ambulance, it was a big scene. His neck was broken and he had to be pulled out of the water. The ambulance came. The ambulance had to take him to the hospital. He was in traction. Gurudev went to see him in the hospital, and they needed to perform an operation to implant a plate in his neck made out of a metal plate. Needed to be a titanium, so what the metal was. I was thinking the word titanium. A titanium plate needed to be implanted into his neck, which is quite a complicated operation to be doing in India. Gurudev was worried. It was also expensive, and Gurudev was worried how this is going to happen and things. So that night at the lecture, Gurudev, the only time I'd seen him do this, he personally begged for the money to perform that operation. And I was and the devotees were there. Of course, there were many Western devotees, and everybody carries your money because it's not safe to leave it in your room. So they started handing $100 rupee notes started floating into Gurudev, and I was sitting at the quite a bit in the back, a lot of people in front of me, and then I heard Gurudev said, "If anybody wants to, they can come up and put the money directly in my hand." I said, "Okay, all right. This is a sign." And it's like Gurudev was looking at me, and I had a lot of American money because I'd been selling Prem Priyojan's CDs, and as I was traveling through America, because this was before the time of internet, and his lectures were popular, and people I was selling, I had a lot of American money with me, and so I'd put it together, and it was might have only been $300 or $400. I just put it together with $100 note on the top, but it looked, but there was a lot of ones and fives. It was a big stack, and I just somehow I managed to walk through those crowded, that all the devotees sitting there, it just opened up and it let me go right to Gurudev, and I put it in his hand, and then and Gurudev turned it. He took it from me. He saw it. And then he turned to Brajanath. Shortly as I walked back, he turned to Brajanath, who gave me all this American money? And Brajanath said, "Oh, that was Lilasukh." And then then all the $100 American notes started flowing out instead of rupees, because they said, "Oh, the Gurudev was so happy to get American money." And then after the the next day, Vaikunas Maharaj had a job of counting all the money. He said, "Oh, Lilasukh, you gave $11,000 America." And I gave nothing like that. I gave only maybe 300 or something. But it started people giving the American money. And Gurudev was pleased in that they collected the money for that operation. And because he was so fearful of how things were going for Gaurasundar and this situation that was comes to Krishna brings about is to bring certain things out in certain situations. Now, have I Hasa, Bhuta, Vira, Kruna, Rudra, Vibhuts, and Bhai. Vibhuts, it's the last one, disgust. Seeing Gurudev in the mood of disgust. It's in Mawulambar again, we're on the morning walks here. I took my bull and cart where Gurudev's morning walk was, hoping that, he'll want to ride in the bull in the cart. This was before where I took him to the program a few years before. And Gurudev came and this was in a rural situation where there weren't many other people or houses. And he came to his morning walks and he sees me there waiting with my bull and cart. He gets in the cart and I give him a little ride in the cart just for the mercy of the bull and me. I guess Gurudev hops in and takes his lift. He didn't need to. He could have just walked. But when he gets out, and he likes the bull. It was a very nice looking bull and very very placid. And he asked me, how much is a bull like this worth in Australia? And I told Gurudev, in Australia they sell these bulls by the kilo. And Gurudev said, what? He didn't understand what that meant. So he turns to Brajanath, and Brajanath explains what it means when they sell animals by the kilo, by the weight. And then Gurudev, he looks at this look of disgust comes over his face, and he starts punching me in the chest. And he tells me, don't ever sell that bull. And I said, okay, Gurudev, I'll never sell that bull.
You still have that bull with you?
No, that bull finished his life.
Oh, you kept it all the while.
Yeah, he's retired. He actually retired on the ISKCON farm. And he left his body after he was a bit over 20 years old. Okay. That's about how long they live, is about 20 years.
Okay. And what happened to the cart?
The cart got, I think it's on another farm. I think it's still there, but I don't think anybody uses it.
Oh.
I have new bulls in Tasmania, but I don't pull carts with them.
What do you do with them? You do farming with them?
Yeah, no, I don't even do farming. They graze the grass. I just look after them.
Oh, okay. You have some cows also, or just bulls?
We have one cow and 2 bulls.
Oh, good. And a farm there.
And a farm.
So where are you now? You're not in Tasmania?
Yeah, we're in northwest Tasmania.
Oh, okay. Okay. And your farm is right there or a little far from where you are now?
Yeah, we're on the farm now. We live on the farm.
Oh, okay, great, nice. So that's very unusual to see a Westerner going in a bull and a cart. I mean, you are really different. And you're putting very nicely all these Gurudev's bhavs. I've heard for the first time somebody spoke like this. Each bhav bringing the Gurudev, really nice story. Yeah, go on.
I was fortunate and had so much association with him over for 10 years. He just asked me to go everywhere with him. So nice. And as much as I could, I went.
Okay, Prabhu, continue. Please continue. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's quite all right. What I wanted to speak a little bit about is of these pure Vaishnavas that have had the association with the Sridhar Maharaj. I first went to him because he was banished from ISKCON, and then Gaur Govinda Maharaj, I went to him. He was in ISKCON, but they were in the process of moving him out. And I went Gurudev. He was really part of ISKCON because but he was also they kept him separate because I remember on Gurudev would say things well like we are all ISKCON.
Yes.
And the institutional concerns were not part of his life. He would he was well beyond that. And I'd ask recently Prem Projan was speaking in New Zealand. I joined them on a Zoom conference, and I'd ask him to explain this to me, why this is happening. Because even in our own Sangha, after Gurudev has left, it's happening in our Sangha also. There are certain groups like in here in Mawillambar at Prem Projan, Damodar Maharaj, and Sudarbeti Maharaj had traveled here, and they weren't allowed to come to the temple and speak Harikatha. Started treating them the same way that Sridhar Maharaj was treated, that Srila Narayan Maharaj was treated, and they're something that I was having trouble understanding how this was happening. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave a lecture in the about the 30s called described Putana. It was in the published in the Harmonist. And he says, when the pure Vaishnava leaves, there's no power on earth that can stop the Putanas from coming to the pulpit. And I thought, so I asked Prem, why does this happen? Why does it happen everywhere, especially for us in Gurudev's group? Because we saw it happening and we've seen it happening so many times before. Why does it have to happen again to us? And he explained this to me, that the devotees are divided into two broad categories according to where they put preferences. Some devotees put most importance on the buildings and the programs and the organization, and there's other devotees that put more importance on the understanding of the teachings going into your heart. And there's and then when the pure devotee leaves, those more esoteric devotees, they are more charismatic, and they will attract more people. And they're not attached to any particular spot, so they'll move around preaching, and you'll see that their preaching will be quite powerful. And the other devotees that are more interested in the buildings and the programs and things, they'll become envious of this other group of devotees. So then they stop them from coming around. So the esoteric and exoteric, and it's because it's just where your preferences are, as to for the buildings or and the structure, or for the organism, or for the teaching. But both of them have to be there, and there's always this conflict is always going to come up every time the pure devotee leaves. So now I'm in the process of looking for another pure devotee. I'm hoping by the mercy of the devotees they will give me some guidance as to which direction I should go and where.
I'm also looking. Yes, I think very soon somebody will manifest.
Yes. Well, don't leave me out. Don't forget about me when you find out.
Yeah,
I'm very anchoring.
I really find Sanjay Prabhu here very nice. I don't know if you heard him, but he's
Of
really
who?
Sanjay Prabhu. He's a very young boy, but he served Srila Gurudev very, very intimately, and he is not into any institution, and he is just doing his own bhajan, and he speaks superb Harikatha, very heart touching.
How do I get to hear him?
I'll send you something. Don't worry. He's on some link on the Facebook, and you can then.
Okay. Yes. Please do that.
Yeah, but he speaks mostly Hindi. He hardly speaks English.
Okay.
But he knows,
geez.
but he
That
knows
makes
he can speak English. He can if he wants.
Prabhu Ji, share with everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he will make a visit to your place maybe sometime in future. I have a feeling like this.
Mm,
Yes.
The most welcome
yeah,
in Melbourne, Prabhu Ji.
You can search for him, type Sanjay Prabhu in YouTube, and you will find some of his lectures. Mostly they are in Hindi, but you'll find them there. Yeah. So yes. Anything else, Prabhu? You remember how you met him and what happened? Any other chastisement or mercy or ashirwad, blessings? Or
yes, I can.
did he meet your
I can,
wife? How was it when he met your wife? What did you tell her? What instruction he gave you? All those things.
okay, I can. I'll. I can. If I've got time, I'll speak about one more. One
You
more
have enough
pastime.
time, Prabhu. We are not on
Around
strong. We have
the
enough time. No worry.
Okay.
You can
And
speak everything what you want to speak, everything.
yes, we were in Brisbane giving a and Gurudev was going to come join us soon. It was in between programs, and before the next program started, all the devotees had gone to Brisbane, and they were having devotees like me were giving classes until Gurudev came, and I was giving a class on Nama Bas, and I was and I and Nama Bas it's a little, and I didn't realize so much at the time. It's a little bit of a controversial topic because I had been my understanding from Sridhar Maharaj and from what I'd heard and had been confirmed from Prabhu Ji is that the first time you chant the names of Krishna, the very first time you chant names of Krishna, that's Nama Bas because you don't know what the offenses are.
In fact, I would
And
say that it's not even namabhas. Mostly it is namaprad.
well, it's Nama Aparad if you know what the offenses are.
Without
But
knowing without knowing you are doing aparad, without knowing what aparad is, you are committing aparad because you are doing nam for.
yes. It's not because the Nama Bas is actually covers quite a broad spectrum.
Gurudev used to
But
say with namabhas is so powerful that even with namabhas you can reach Vaikuntha. You cannot go to Braj, but you can get mukti with namabhas. It is so powerful, even namabhas.
Yeah.
Yes. So tell me what you said in the class then. What happened?
Okay, well, what I said was that just that much that when someone doesn't know what the operads are, the first time they chant the names of the Lord, they are fixed. I mean, it might take a long time, but they are that one Nama Bas will liberate them. But then now they in order to chant Nama Bas continuously, they need to learn what the operads are and stop doing the operads, and then continually chanting Nama Bas and approaching Sudanam. And I explained this, and the devotees, oh no, they weren't happy with that. So they went and they complained to Gurudev. And Gurudev, and during the class, he called me up to speak to everybody, speak what you said, and he got me, and of course I messed it up. And I didn't put what I'd heard from Sridhar Maharaj and what I'd heard from Prabhu Ji and things. I sort of messed up presenting it. But Gurudev also didn't. Gurudev did something interesting. He went on to speak. We're here in Brisbane, and there's so many people here, and how many of them have heard the name? And how many of them are coming here, and how many of them are taking up this chanting? What's such a rare thing for anybody to chant this name? Don't and he went it's basically not fully answering the question, but it's taking the time to point out how rare and how special is harinaam. And when we went to after that, we left in Brisbane. We went to Cessnock, further south, Gurudev, the devotees were still complaining about me because Gurudev hadn't actually said that what I said was wrong. He just made people said things that make people think even more about it. And so he asked me to one night he asked me, you come on the morning walk with me tomorrow. And I said, okay, of course, I definitely want to come. And when I went there, but it was raining that day, and that early that morning we couldn't go. So Gurudev, he said, he motioned for me to come towards him. I came towards him, and he brought me into his room, and he closed the door so Madhav Maharaj and Brajanav couldn't get in there. And he said that, and he just wanted to talk to me in private. And he told me that, the devotees are complaining about you because you're showing too much faith in Prem Prabhu, and you've been traveling with him too much. And I said, oh yes, but I'm inspired to listen to his Hari Katha. And then Gurudev says, yes, you must listen to his Hari Katha. And I told him they also complain about me because I was on the book table. I was also putting Bhakti Govinda Maharaj's books, because even though Gurudev and Bhakti Govinda Maharaj didn't have a relationship where they would speak to each other, I had faith in Govinda Maharaj. And I told Gurudev, I've come to you, I've taken shelter from you, but I haven't given up my faith in Govinda Maharaj, because he was my godbrother from Sridhar Maharaj. And Sridhar Maharaj never gave up faith in him. I wasn't going to give up faith in him. And the truth is, I love to hear his Hari Katha. And we just had a sweet relationship with Govinda Maharaj, and between me and Govinda Maharaj. I told Gurudev, I can't give this up. And the other devotees are not happy that I keep his books, and sometimes they even put them on the book table. And Gurudev, he looked at me and said, Cha, this is what I like about you. You know how to give honor and respect to all the Vaishnavas. And he went on, I know things about Bhakti Govinda Maharaj, and I know that he will never come in front of me because of the thing, but I want that the two of us should preach together. Because many years before me, there'd been the dispute over Rath Yatra in Mayapur, whether it was a proper mood or not. And those two, Govinda Maharaj and Gurudev, hadn't spoken to each other since then. But Gurudev wanted to, and he was happy that I kept that a loving and friendly relationship with Govinda Maharaj.
Nice.
But he wanted to talk. This is the first time I've talked about this publicly, because Gurudev was he didn't speak about it openly because it would have confused the devotees.
Nice.
Oh.
So nice, Prabhu, very nice. And you want to speak more? You can go on.
I think maybe that's
Okay.
that might be enough for this morning. Give someone else a chance to speak.
No, we normally keep only one speaker and give him full chance, because we've been doing this for around 250 days now, every day.
Okay.
So we want to hear full from one person, so that we know that devotee, how his struggles are, how he's connecting with Srila Gurudev. So we want to know, are you still doing this book seva? And what are you doing? What are your activities now?
My activities, I'm mostly just I'm farming and trying to attract the devotees and to come join me on the farm if they like. And we've got a bit of a lockdown. It's a bit hard now because people can't come or leave Tasmania. Well, you can leave, but you can't come back because there's no pandemic here. There's no virus here.
How big is your farm?
25 acres.
And what all you grow there?
Our main crop is potatoes. I grow about 40 tons of potatoes each year.
Oh.
And my wife grows lots and lots of flowers.
Oh, nice. What kind of flowers?
Dahlias and sunflowers.
Oh, very nice. That's beautiful.
And she sells cut flowers, and she sells the dahlia tubers. It's an area. It's an area of Tasmania where they grow lots of flowers. There's lots of rain here and good soil and a cool climate. Flowers grow very well here.
Very nice. And you have 2 bulls and a cow there too.
Yeah, 2 bulls and a cow.
Nice. So I think it's a very nice, must be a nice place to be there. And you have like visitors, you want people to come and you do some preaching there, and so people come before the lockdown. How it goes?
Yeah. I'd like people to come. I know I bring Damodar Maharaj in India maybe once a month or and he said when he comes, because he's from Australia, he said he'll definitely come and visit next time he comes. Prem Brojan, I've invited him to come, and he was going to come up as well, but the borders are been closed for almost 2 years now.
Yes.
They can't come from international, and even the people from the mainland can't come to Tasmania at the moment.
Oh, Tasmania is an island there.
Yeah, it's an island.
Oh, okay.
It's a big island.
Okay.
Maybe not quite as big as Sri Lanka, but it's a big island.
Oh,
Takes about 4 hours to drive from one side to the other.
okay. It's connected by, you can drive to the mainland? Oh no, only on the island you're saying?
No, it's 11 hours on the ferry.
Oh, okay.
It's a long way.
So that's nice. So is it very populated or how it is?
What's that?
The island, is it very populated or not many people live?
Oh, there's no, it's not so popular. There's 500,000 people here.
Oh, okay. Nice. So Prabhuji, it was really nice to hear from you. And we were very fortunate to hear about Pujapad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Pujapad Srila Gurudeva and Maharaj, then Narayan Maharaj. So you've been really fortunate to have met so many very, very elevated devotees. It's very difficult for a single person to meet so many of them one by one. It's very difficult to even know that they are pure Vaishnavas. Not everybody can make out, and they miss the opportunity of meeting them. Like a lot of ISKCON people, they could not meet Narayan Maharaj. And worse, some of them even had bad thoughts about him, which is like aparad, which is very severe aparad, I would say. To think bad, forget about doing anything, even to think bad about a pure devotee is a very severe aparad, and it is not pardonable. God never pardons that aparad. So we have to be really careful. If we cannot meet, at least we should respect from our heart and offer our pranams. If you do otherwise, then it is very, very difficult. Maybe many lifetimes it can take to come back to a normal, if you do a aparad to a severe, pure devotee. So you started very nicely and sort of little bit funnily also, that devotees were going across the river and not coming back. So if those people have not understood, I would like to elaborate on this. That ISKCON is on the other side of the river where Mayapur is, and Pujapad Bhakti Sridhar Maharaj is on the other side of the river where they have their mutt. So the ISKCON people were moving across the river and they were not coming back, because Sridhar Maharaj was so elevated that once you go to him, he will attract you like anything, because he was a very beautiful poet and a very beautiful philosopher. He was actually very highly, very, very elevated. In fact, all his god brothers also used to come to him to take advice. All the disciples of Srila Prabhupada used to, after Prabhupada left, used to come to him for all kinds of advice. So that's why he was named Bhakti Rakshak, one who will protect Bhakti after Prabhupada goes. And he did that in a very good way. So that was a little funny that one day you also decided to cross over the river and you also never came back thereafter. And you said English language would serve him. He would not serve English language. Yes, he had, I think his English was really good, and he has a lot of very beautiful statements in his books. And I have not read many of them, but I have heard a lot from like our Pujapad Bhakti Vedanta, what is his name? Who's the senior most in our Sangha? American Maharaj.
Padmanabha Maharaj.
Yes, Padmanabha Maharaj, yes. So I've heard from him a lot on his tithis, especially in front of Gurudev, while Gurudev was there, and in the parikramas, he used to speak so nicely. So yes, so he died to live or something he used to say.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
that was
yes. And a lot of these small statements he would make, which very grave, deep meaning. And about the environment also you talked. He was talking about the environment and your karma. We have the environment that we have, so that we have asked for it actually. So don't quarrel with it, you said. The environment which we are right now is actually ordered by us. We had ordered this environment for ourselves. We worked for it really hard in our time now or maybe previous births. So it is whatever we are getting is what we wanted actually, what we asked for. So don't quarrel with it. Don't fight. Don't try to change the environment. Try to make best use of it. That's what he used to say, and which is very, very true. Most of the time we are always cursing our environment. Oh, I should have been born in a rich family. I would have been so nice. Oh, I should have been there. I should not have. So Maharaj used to say, you are at perfect place where you are right now. It cannot be better than this, because this is what you asked. This is what your sanskars are, and God always puts you what you want. He is a very, very merciful. He gives you what you like, what you want. So now deal with it and take the best out of this. If you not ask the right thing, so you learn and take the best and move on. So after, so you are always on the look for a pure Vaishnavas. So after Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj left, you very quickly went to Srila Pujapad Guru Maharaj, and then he said, "Oh Baba, how long you are going to sleep in the lap of Maya?" So he was like that, very, very strong, powerful voice. And you very correctly said, very different from Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj, who was very soft and very philosophy and very soft way of speaking. But Guru Govind Maharaj was very harsh outwardly, very soft inside, but very harsh, and he would speak very strong words which will pierce your heart and stay there forever. So Vaishnavas have different way of doing things and different styles, different rasas in Vaishnavas also, because Krishna likes to enjoy all kinds of rasas, all kinds of Vaishnavas. So you have seen so many flavors of Vaishnava, pure Vaishnavas. Very nice, docile, simple, poetic, very strong, and Gurudev very loving and laughing, and all the rasas which you described later so beautifully. You said Guru Govind Maharaj Harikatha was so powerful and bold, he overpowered with his Harikatha. Yes, he did that. And then you very beautifully and also philosophically described Krishna doesn't follow straight path. Pure devotees can come anywhere in any institution. That's so very true and very difficult to understand. Normally people are so attached to the institution, to their home, to bricks and mortar, that they fail to see the pure Vaishnava. He can sprout anywhere. He can come from anywhere in any form. May not be like clean shaved or with this. Maybe he can have beard. Maybe he can have different dress. Maybe he can wear shirt like what you're wearing now. He doesn't have to be in orange or white or anything. So pure devotees are very difficult to identify. Outwardly, they can look very different, but their heart, if it is pure, it's very difficult for normal people to recognize them also. And not generally people identify with the outwardly world, with which institution you are, where you are, which is not what is the correct thought if you want to progress in bhajan. And then you talked about Gurudev when Pujapad Bhakti Srila Guru Govind Maharaj left. You started again on the lookout for a pure devotee, which is such a nice thing to do. And then you heard about Pujapad, our Srila Gurudev, and the first thing you heard about him is that he is not allowed in ISKCON, and you were very happy to hear that. That was kind of a little funny, but very, very smart also, I would say. Then you thought it's a good thing that if he's not allowed to come to ISKCON, it is something that means he must be pure. Because ISKCON that time was really afraid of pure devotees, because they are the ones which will grab everybody, attract everyone. Because pure devotees, it is natural in them to have attraction. Like Krishna attracts everybody, pure devotee also attracts everybody, even without wanting to. When they don't even want to attract anyone, but it is their nature. They are so humble, so pure. that people automatically, our Atma, soul knows what is good for us, and because it's full of knowledge, Satchit Anand, it's full of knowledge, so it goes automatically towards them, and they want to protect the institution. So they would not allow such pure devotees, and they did not allow Srila Gurudev. And you were happy to hear that. It's a good sign. One of the symptoms of a pure devotee that he's not allowed in ISKCON. So you got really happy, and you joined him in Bejar, USA, and then thereafter you followed him for 10 years, which is really, really very good thing to do. That's why I say you're so smart. Not everybody is as smart as you are. So Prem Prayojan wrote the whole verse. You're looking for that verse, and yes, Prem Prayojan was really also very smart with his verses. He would remember. His memory was so good. He remembers everything verbatim. If you ask Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Gyan Karmadi Narvatam meaning, he can say verbatim what is written, and nobody can point out any mistake. One day I remember Gurudev was asking people to explain this, and people were explaining in their own language. But when he asked Prem Prayojan, he just said what is written in the book exactly as it is, and you can't find fault with that because it's written by Gurudev himself. So his memory was really sharp. And then he was very nice to, he gave you a seva to work at the book table, and you were very happy to grab that seva for as long, and then because of that seva you got to travel with Srila Gurudev. So here also one learning for all of us: if you want to associate with the Gurudev or with any high Vaishnava or devotee, pick up some seva. If you don't pick up seva, then it is not very easy to associate. If you have some seva, you will be liked also, and you will and the pure devotee will like to associate with you also, because you are doing seva now. He will love you, he will have his you will have his mercy, and also not only you want to associate with him, he will also like to associate with you because you're doing such seva. So it is always good advice for everybody to have some seva for the pure devotee you want to associate with. It's a trick, or like it's the way to do it, which you did very nicely. And then you described, this was really, really very wonderful. First time I heard this, how you described Srila Gurudev with so many rasas. And you compared it to Krishna himself. And it is true, Gurudev is Krishna himself because he's Ashraya Bhagwan. There are two Bhagwans, kind of Bhagwan, Vishaya Bhagwan and Ashraya Bhagwan. So Gurudev is Ashraya, where we can take shelter. And he's embodiment of the mercy of the Lord. He's appeared as his embodiment. So when Krishna entered arena, everybody saw him as per their own bhavs. Mathura Ramani saw him in Shingaras, very beautiful, lovable. And older ladies saw him with Vatsalya bhav, like a parental love. And the friends saw him like a Veeras. And those who were going to fight him saw him in Veeras, that he is so powerful. So everybody has a different darshan depending on what they're thinking is, what their bhavs are, their moods are. Similarly, people saw Gurudev also like that. And then you described each bhav. Then you talked about cat for mouse, the story. I remember Gurudev telling the story so nicely, and so many learning in the story. How we can deviate from our actual path and get entangled in trivial matters of life. With great difficulty, with great mercy of Sadhus and Vaishnava, we are able to come to a pure devotee like Gurudev. And now, because of our weakness or foolishness, by small thing we can have a deviation very easily, and then that deviation can build up, and it becomes so big that it will entangle everything. It will eat us up, and then we will have no bhakti at all. And Gurudev used to give that example. There was a sadhu, and he had just one langot, one loincloth, and nothing else, no possession. He was doing his bhajan so beautifully. And then Prabhu Ji told the story. One day he saw a rat eating up that cloth which was hung for drying. So he said, "Oh, how to get rid of this cat? Because of this rat, I'm not able to do bhajan, and I'm not able to concentrate." So he got a cat, so that the cat will eat the rat. And then he saw that one rat is not enough for a cat. She is hungry, so he got a cow, so that he'll milk the cow, and the cat will be full. He can eat. Then when she got the cow, he said, "There's so much work for the cow, because you have to milk, you have to arrange for his food and grass." So he said, "I should get married." And he got a wife. She'll look after the cow. So now it was, for some days it was very nice. Wife was looking after the cow. Cow was giving milk to the cat, and cat was looking after the rats. There was no rats in the area. It was going on for some time, and then suddenly the wife was not very happy because she did not have kids. Without kids, she was feeling lonely and she was not happy. So she got kids. He had kids from her, and now he had so many kids and wife and cat and rat and whatnot, everything. And he got so busy, whole bhajan was gone. There's no bhajan at all. So Gurudev used to tell us to be very, very careful. Block this chain at the first moment when you are diverting. Know when that you are taking a diversion. But unfortunately, it's not very easy to know for us, for Baddha Jeev, that we are diverting from the main path. It is very difficult to understand that we are taking a diversion. And most people realize when they are in thick trouble that they are already diverted from the main path. And then sometimes it is very late, and sometimes you do not get the good association to come back from there. It's very difficult on our own to come back on this path when you are gone so far away. So Gurudev used to advise that no, you are taking a diversion and stop it right there. Cut the chain right there. Don't let it grow. And then you talked so nicely about Adbhut Ras. A funny story. Bring my bull and cart. So, and I must say, you're also not a normal person. And normal person generally do not do bhajan. People who are bold, who can step out of the norms, and who are adventurous, they generally do bhajan very nicely, because doing bhajan is also stepping out of the normal way of living in Maya. Because now you are so bold that you want to take a step out of Maya into the real realm where there's happiness all the time. So it involves great risk. You can lose your friends, you can lose your family, you can lose so many, you can lose your job and interest in the world. So it's a very bold step. And to ride on a bull and cart is also really bold. It's not an ordinary thing to do, especially in Western world. In India, people do out of because they don't have enough money, or that, so they do it. But in the Western world, if you do something like this, it is something really adventurous thing to do. And Gurudev liked that part because you are adventurous, and he likes adventurous people. He likes bold people. He doesn't like fearful people. Bhakti is not for fearful people. It is for fearless people, and it is for people who can take bold steps and you can stand for them. So he said, today I will sit in a bull and cart. And he actually sat there. Imagine Gurudev in the bull and cart, and kirtan going on all sides, and people looking out of the windows and doors, and what is happening today in this place, and who is this going in the bull and cart? Sadhu, dressed in a different way. So this way Gurudev attracted everybody, because it is something not normal. And he said, this is preaching in Adbhut mood. This is preaching because it is something not normal. People want to see what is going on, and it is preaching. He's doing it as a seva. Gurudev is doing it as a seva, like a preaching. If you want to say anything, Prabhu Ji, you can stop me and say if you remember something. Yes, you can.
That's nice.
Yeah. I like to remember what you said, because there's so many shikshas in that, so many things to learn. So, so then you talked about Veeras. I really did not understand this Veeras. Can you say this again? How did you display Veeras?
Of Vera, it was in San Jose when we traveled from on a flight from programs in Houston to San Jose, and the Gurudev had more than 30 devotees traveling with him.
Okay.
And in San Jose, we met. There was an ISKCON sannyas at the airport, but he had one brahmachari with him.
Okay.
And Gurudev met him, and they gave each other dandavad, spoke shortly, and then Gurudev, he went to the ISKCON sannyas, he went to catch his flight, and Gurudev went to sit down with his disciples, and Gurudev sat there and he said, look at him, he has one traveling with him. How many do I have traveling with me?
Yes. Yeah, he was always very bold, and he would be ready to, especially if somebody will go against Siddhanta also, I have noticed, then he would not wait for anybody. He would just fire, and he would ready to go to any extent. Especially he fought with Mathura Vasis, their Pandas, the Goswamis, about the birth of Lord Krishna, where he was born. And he would argue, and he convinced everybody, actually. All those Pandits and learned people, they would never actually believe, and they actually did not believe Srila Gurudev also. And then Gurudev was adamant at his point. And one point he said, if you don't want to hear, I'm going to walk off. And then they stopped him because they knew he's a pure Vaishnava. And then then they heard him. Not only did they hear him, they were convinced that yes, what he's saying is perfectly all right, and he's quoting shastras and pramans, proof for what he's saying. So eventually they got convinced. So he would be very fierce when it came to Siddhanta. So yeah, he can display. Then Karuna Ras, mercy, all the time he would display mercy to everybody, even the people who are against them, especially the ISKCON people, some of them who were against and who did not want him to come. He was very merciful to them. And anybody who said bad things about them, he would not like to hear that. He would say, don't say like this. I have my mercy and I wish that they become more mature and they understand how to respect Vaishnava. And I always think good of them, that it should be good. So he was always merciful even to the people who were not very favorable to him. What to say about people who are favorable and who were his disciples? He would give everything for them. Like you talked about Gaur Sundar, he was so merciful that when he broke his spine while diving into the ocean in Puri, he personally begged for money. And you said that is the first time you saw him begging for money, not for himself, not for his, not even for his temple or his sangha, but for his dear disciple. So how merciful, how loving, how out of the way he went to look after his disciple. He started begging for him for money. And you're also so, like you gave him so many US dollars covered with Indian rupees so that he doesn't see. So I must say that it is very, you also very nice to give him like this. And Gurudev is always so merciful. And Rudra, anger, he talked. Yeah, so many times he would get angry. Then this time he got angry at you at Alacho festival. You touched his lotus feet before the morning walk, but this time he got late because the car you were traveling was a Garas devotee. He got late. And then you found some place in between, and you sneaked and you tried to touch his feet and he got angry at you, really angry. And there you very nicely understood his anger. Gurudev will not get angry at new devotees, never. Because he knows if I get angry at him, he will run away. He will feel bad. But if a devotee is mature like you, and he's been there for a while, and Gurudev knows that he is mature, then he will blast at you, maybe in front of everybody, and he did in front of everyone to you. So he is doing 2-3 things at one time. He is teaching you to be strong and to take Gurudev's chastisement, which will purify you. Also, he's teaching other devotees what to do, what not to do. And so to get Gurudev's chastisement is also very rare. Only very close devotees get it, not everybody. People who are not very close to his heart, or who are a little far, or who are a little new, sorry, they will not get his chastisement. They will only get his mercy and love. But people who are strong, evolved, they can get even slaps also. I hope you did not get a slap.
A few punches sometimes.
Oh, okay, then that's good. You are more evolved then. A lot of people in the mutt, they have got heavy duty slaps, like became red on their cheek. And then Gurudev asked about them. Oh, where is he? And then he called them and he gave he started loving them. So he was like very, very, yeah, Rudra sometimes. Then you talked about fear, bhai, Gaur Sundar, you talked that thing. And he had a titanium plate installed in this neck. And yeah, that was a really sad incident which happened. And Gurudev did everything what in his capacity to help him, and he did help. And he personally begged for money. You said you saw him first time doing this. And he put his own hands out. He said, anyone he can put money in my hand. So that is how much out of the way he went to help his disciple. So he was fearful for Gaur Sundar, yes. That is out of love he was fearful. Normally Vaishnavas are never fearful. They don't fear anything in the world. But for their dear Vaishnavas, they can be fearful. They can try to help them. And Vibhast, disgust mood, morning walk, took bull and cart, and he got into it for the mercy of bull and me, for the mercy of bull and me. That is so nice way to put. So he asked you, how much is a bull like this in Australia? And they sell by kilos, you told him. So it was kind of disgusting for him to know. And Yeah, this is really unfortunate that you talk of some Vaishnavas who are not allowed. I think all Vaishnavas should be allowed and everywhere, unless they are offensive to Gurudev. Only in one case, Vaishnavas should not be allowed, or you should not associate with them if they are offensive to your Gurudev. Because if you associate with them, then you will also get their bad mood. So only in this case, you should stay away from that Vaishnava, but still not think bad about it. You can offer pranam and stay away. They used to say, don't criticize anybody, don't think bad for anybody. But if you think somebody is offensive to some Vaishnava or doing a parad or is offensive to your Gurudev, stay very, very far away. Don't go close to him, but don't think bad. Offer pranam from far away and stay away. That's the safe thing to do. And then you talked about devotees in two categories. This is really important. Some people who are more engrossed in buildings and programs and things like this, and other ones who are more interested in Gurudev's teachings, exoteric and exoteric. So yes, we should be more inclined towards Gurudev teachings and holding that teaching in our heart and trying to get some experience, not doing outwardly, not getting engaged in managing things, in running the temple, running this, running that. Gurudev used to say, try to meditate on the past times, try to listen to what Gurudev is saying, try to listen to Hari Katha, and try to get some experience in your heart, try to feel happy, try to get that anand for which we are trying, and not be busy all the time running the affairs. So you talked about Namabhas, and then Gurudev called you in the room. Yeah. And he told you chanting is such a rare and special thing. It is not, yes. Whatever you are chanting, even Nama Parad, it is still good for you, Gurudev used to say. You chant, however you chant, and if you are doing Nama Parad, that will go only by chanting. The medicine for Nama Parad is also Nam. So medicine for everything is Nam, Gurudev used to say. So if you are chanting, whatever way, Nama Parad, Nama Bhas, you should continue that way. Try to make it better, but don't stop. Gurudev used to say, do not stop chanting and try some other ways to make it. No, there's no other way. Only by chanting and associating with devotee, you can make it better. And then you talked about on the morning walk, you wanted to go. He called you, come on the morning walk with me. It's very rare that Gurudev calls someone on the morning walk. That means he had a special mission for him. He wants to say something special to you. And actually he had something really special. So he called you on the morning walk, but it was raining, so you could not go on the walk. So he called you in the room and closed the door behind. He wanted to talk to you in private. So he talked about why people are complaining, and then you said you're putting on the table Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj book there. Yeah, your god brother, and you respect him so much. And then Gurudev told you very, very important thing. And I think he was very happy at what you said. Even though you are putting his books with Gurudev's books, but Gurudev was never in competition with any devotee or any pure devotee. He would never think like that. He would always welcome more people with him, and he would always honor them also. So here also he did the same thing with you. He said, do you know how to honor a Vaishnava? Instead of being mad at you and telling, why are you putting his books on my table? He was other way around. He said, you know how to honor a Vaishnava. You are. So Gurudev always used to tell, especially to people who came from ISKCON, he used to say, your first guru is ISKCON, and the people who brought you there, your Path Pradarshak Guru, they are your first gurus. So you honor them first, then you remember me. Never forget them. And if you ever meet them again, you offer your Dandavat Pranams to them. He would say like that. So he said, you should never forget anybody who has helped you in the path to reach your guru, or who is helping you after your guru goes to reach, enter into this bhajan even in a better way. You should always respect them. And same thing he told you here also, you know how to honor a Vaishnava. So this is something really nice. And I also really appreciate, Prabhu Ji, what you did and what values you hold for Vaishnavas, regardless what other people say, what they think, but you honor, you know actually how to honor a Vaishnava, because he has been important in your life. He has shown you the way. He has helped you progress in your bhajan. Anybody who's helping us progress in the bhajan, He is to be worshipped by us. If you do not, then we will not make further progress. It is offense. If you do not worship or do not have regard for a Vaishnava who will help us, then we cannot progress now. However hard we try, whosoever we associate, that Vaishnava Praj will stay with us. So Gurudev was very, very happy at you that you kept his books on his table. And he actually liked it. And it also shows that your relationship with him was very, very intimate. That is why he called you in person in private room and closed the door and heard from you and taught you also. So thank you so much, Prabhu Ji. I'm very, very happy to listen to you and your nice thoughts and nice moods. And very beautifully you described Gurudev in so many rasas. First time heard like this, 7 rasas. Does your wife also want to speak something? She wants to say a few words.
She's shy. In English isn't her first language.
What is her language?
Her first language is Visayan. She's from Cebu.
Do you know that language?
Not really.
Oh, I thought maybe then you can translate.
Yes. Oh, she understands. She can speak English and she understands. She's just shy to speak.
Okay.
And she's preparing for Shadam now.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, Prabhu Ji, thank you so much then. I offer my Dandavat pranams to you and your family and also to your bull.
Okay.
In which bull on the cart, because Gurudev sat in your bull on the cart and it did so much preaching. So it must not be ordinary soul. It must be a elevated soul also. So my pranams to all of you and to all the devotees who are listening to this Harikatha. And tomorrow we will again meet with another devotee at the same time, 6 o'clock in the morning, Indian Standard Time. And tomorrow we have Jagdish Pandit Prabhu from Murvelamba, Australia. And I think tomorrow's program should be in Hindi. So it will be in Hindi. And English translation will be available for those who do not understand Hindi on the Facebook. Live translation will be there. So then pronounce to all of you. Srila Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrand ki jai, Gaur Bhakt Vrand ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, and Sripad Lilasukh Prabhu ki jai, Tadiya Parivar ki jai, family ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Dandavat pranam Prabhu Ji.